Okay guys, today we're going to start our unit on polynomials. First thing we need to talk about is defining what polynomials are. And all polynomial means is we're getting into higher degrees. So when we have higher degrees, we have many terms, okay? So many different terms. And terms, remember, are just a mix of numbers and variables, right? Okay, so as we talk about polynomials, the standard form of polynomial is when we write them from highest degree to lowest. And so for example, we might have 5x to the 5th plus 3x to the 4th plus ... We'll have an x and a constant at the end. Okay, we can also classify polynomials two different ways. We can classify them by degree, which we look at the exponent to do, and then we can also classify them by the number of terms we have. So for example, if we have a degree of 0, we actually just have a number, so we just have the constant. So for example, if we just have the number 4, that's just considered a polynomial of degree 0. Next is if we have a degree of 1, we consider that linear. And that, for an example, would be 5x, because our degree there, our exponent, is just 1. Next one is if we have degree 2, which is quadratic, which is what we covered in unit 5. And in quadratics, we'd have something like 3x squared. So we're looking at the degree, the exponent, not the coefficients, the exponents. Next, after quadratics, is cubics. That would be negative 2x cubed. Then after cubic is quartic. So that would be degree 4. After quartic, we go to quintic. And quintic would be degree 5. So maybe like negative 7x to the 5th. And then if we have 6 or more, we just say they're nth degree. 7th degree, 8th degree, 6th degree, whatever. Nth degree. So that could even be something like x to the 11th. We'll just say x to the n power, though. Because really it can be any number at all. Okay, then we can also classify by terms. And you should be a little bit familiar with this. If we have one term, we just call that a monomial, right? And that could be, doesn't really matter the degree. So that could be 3x squared. That's still considered a monomial just because we only have one term. Then after that, we have binomials, which is when we have two terms. And again, degree doesn't matter. So 7x to the 5th plus 4x, that's a binomial because we have two terms. And then trinomial is when we have three terms. Typically, we see these with quadratics. We'll go ahead and write one out here. 3x squared plus 2x plus 5. That's kind of a classic trinomial. But again, the degree does not matter on that. You can have trinomials of higher degrees. Then the last, if we go over trinomial, we just call it a polynomial, just referring to it as multiple terms. Kind of the classic sense of how we use the word polynomial. So that could be like 5x to the 4th plus 7x cubed plus 2x plus 4. Okay, and that 4 or more terms. Okay, so that's classifying polynomials. If we could say like we had a polynomial with 6 terms. We'd actually describe that. We'd say polynomial with 6 terms. Okay. Moving on, just writing some in standard form, we always want to make sure that we have the highest degree, okay, first, and then we move down from there. So if we look at this, the highest degree is negative 3x to the fifth, because that 5 in the degree is the exponent is the highest degree. So negative 3x to the fifth. Then the next highest degree is that squared, so plus 5x squared, then minus 2. When we classify that, it is fifth degree. So if we look up above, we see that that's a quintic because it's degree 5. And then there's 3 terms, so we'd say quintic trinomial to classify it. Okay, moving on to number 2. All right, again, we're going to write the highest degree first, that negative 2x cubed. Then after that's the squared, so negative 3x squared, or minus 3x squared, plus 1/3 x, and then the constant always goes at the end, plus 5. All right, this has a degree of 3, so we're going to say cubic. And we have 4 terms, so it's a cubic polynomial. Okay, moving on to example 3, where we're going to start adding and subtracting. First off, when we're adding, that's just combining like terms, right? With addition, order doesn't matter, so those parentheses don't really have a role in that. And we can just go straight to adding. So 5x cubed plus 2x cubed is 7x cubed. Notice how I'm starting with the highest degree, working my way down. 7x squared plus 5x squared is 12x squared. And lastly, we have negative 3x and negative 10x, or minus 3x and minus 10x. Those together are minus 13x. Okay, so we have 3 terms and degree of 3, so that would be a cubic because it's degree 3, trinomial because we have 3 terms. Okay, moving on to number 4. Number 4, notice it's a subtraction sign here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and distribute that subtraction to our second grouping, that parentheses that we're subtracting. So minus 3x to the 4th. Here we're going to subtract a minus, right? Minus a negative, which would be plus 7x squared. And then again, minus 7. When we subtract negative 7, we're going to add 14. Okay. Now we can combine that with our first set of parentheses. 5x to the 4th minus 3x to the 4th is 2x to the 4th. 5x squared plus 7x squared is 12x squared. And then we have that negative 3x. Here, I'll put a box around that. We don't have any other degree 1s, right? We don't have any other x terms. So I'm just going to bring that down, minus 3x. And then our constant's the plus 14. So now when we classify that, it's degree 4, which means it's quartic. And we also have 4 terms, so it's a quartic polynomial. Okay, moving on. Distance d in centimeters that a diving board bends below its resting position. Below its resting position, when you stand at its end, is dependent on your distance x in meters from the stabilized point. The relationship can be modeled by the function d of x equals negative 4x cubed plus x squared. Okay, so all we're trying to do here is we're just evaluating when x equals 1 and x equals 2. Evaluating just means that we're plugging in. Okay, so d of 1, everywhere I see x, I'm just going to plug in that 1. Negative 4, putting it in parentheses, 1 cubed plus 1 squared. I can just put that directly into my calculator, and I get negative 3. And I can also plug in the 2. Negative 4, plug in the 2 cubed plus 2 squared. Put that in my calculator, and I get negative 28. Oops, I forgot, it's a word problem. The x value is centimeters, so I'm going to add that. Negative 3 centimeters and negative 28 centimeters. That is all for the guided notes. Begin working on the practice work and let us know if you have any questions.